So welcome everybody to this panel discussion. I would like to welcome especially Ms. Katrin Langen-Siepen. She's a member of the European Parliament. She's from the German Green Party. She is a member of the Parliament, the European Parliament, since 2006. She stood as a candidate for the European Parliament in the 2019 European elections after working in politics in Hanover and Niedersachsen, and was then elected to the European Parliament, where you are involved now in the work of the Greens EFA group. And you work in the Committee on Employment and Social Affairs, focusing in particular on the issues of housing, basic income support and poverty reduction. I hope that's correct like that. Yes, so just for the participants, for all of you, so it will be in English. We are the different members of the member countries of the IGhB. And I also welcome Professor Dr. Xavier Monen. He was the former president of IGhB. We are very happy that you are here now. And Xavier will make the moderation of the panel discussion afterwards. We will begin now with an input of Ms. Langen-Siepen, and then afterwards we will begin the panel discussion. So I will give the word to Ms. Langen-Siepen. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the invitation. And yeah, very good that you record, not event, but I can send you my statement afterwards by mail, so no one is obliged to take notes and can listen. Yeah, first of all, thanks for the invitation, and it's a great honor to join you today at the 56th BHP Federal Conference and to participate in this reflection on European developments in the field of special education and social inclusion. I want to thank you, the IGhB, for inviting me and for highlighting the visual work that special pedagogues perform across Europe in building inclusive societies. Special pedagogues work with individuals across all stages of life who experience disabilities or are at risk of disadvantage. Their work spans early intervention, childcare, education, youth service, social care, and the support of adults and elderly people. Importantly, special pedagogues engage not only with individuals, but also with families, communities, and society at large, with the goal of fostering inclusion and participation. They are advocates, educators, and social innovators, often operating under difficult conditions, yet always seeking to strengthen access, equity, and dignity for those they support. From a European social policy perspective, your work is indispensable. Yet across the continent, we see increasing challenges. Economic constraints, democratic changes, political shifts, and rising social inequalities threaten the stability of inclusive services. In some countries, extreme political movements have gained influence, challenging social cohesion and placing inclusive policies under pressure. This is not hypothetical. We know from experience that whenever social services are underfunded, or whenever the political focus shifts away from inclusion, people with disabilities, children in vulnerable situations, and social marginalized communities are the first to be affected. The professionals who support them, special pedagogues, social workers, teachers, then face enormous pressure, needing to navigate complex bureaucracies, funding gaps, and social barriers, all while striving to maintain high-quality support. In this context, cross-border solidarity and cooperation are more essential than ever. Inclusion cannot remain a purely national task. It must be supported at the European level. We need to learn from each other, share best practices, and provide mutual support. European frameworks, such as the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the EU's own social and inclusion policies, provide guidance, but they require constant vigilance, advocacy, and engagement to translate principles into practice. Let me illustrate this with an example from Germany. Special pedagogues working in early childhood education often encounter children with complex needs, whose families face multiple forms of social disadvantage, language barriers, poverty, migration-related challenges, or social exclusion. In such cases, professional support is not just about education, it involves navigating healthcare, welfare services, and community support. The success of inclusion in these intents relies not just on the pedagogue's expertise, but on systematic support coordination across agencies and policy frameworks that prioritize inclusion over administrative efficiency or cost cutting. When these systems fail, children and families suffer, and so does the very goal of an inclusive society. Across Europe, similar patterns emerge, but with significant differences between countries. In some member states, inclusion is structurally well supported with strong legal frameworks, funding, and professional recognition. In others, inclusion is still largely experiential, hindered by gaps in resources, training, and social attitudes. These disparities highlight both the need for European level dialogue and the potential for shared learning. The International Society of Special Education Professionals plays a vital role here, connecting practitioners, exchanging knowledge, and helping to shape policies that promote inclusion continent-wide. As a European politician with a disability, I see three central challenges. First, supporting disadvantaged communities in real-life practice. Special pedagogues are on the front line, helping children, youth, and adults navigate social systems. Their work is hands-on, detailed, and deeply relational. Inclusion is not abstract. It is lived daily through care, guidance, advocacy, and education. Second, ensuring policy coherence and sustainability. The variation in support across member states underscores the need for coordinated European action. Policymakers must ensure that national policies align with EU level, and vice versa. That funding is adequate and the legal frameworks support rather than hinder inclusion. Social policy cannot be optional. It must be embedded in our political and economic priorities. Third, strengthening professional networks and knowledge exchange. Associations like you are more than professional bodies. They are platforms for collaboration, for sharing experience, for improving standards, and for influencing policy. By fostering dialogue and cross-border projects, we strengthen the profession, improve outcomes for the people we serve, and reinforce the legitimacy of inclusive approaches. Let me expand on the policy implications. Across Europe, we need to safeguard the principle that social inclusion is a right, not a privilege. That requires investment in inclusive education and training from early childhood through adulthood. Strong legal frameworks that guarantee across for children, youth, and adults with disabilities. cross-sectoral coordination, ensuring that healthcare, social services, education, and employment policies reinforce each other rather than work at odds. Participatory policy making, involving professional families and people with disabilities themselves. That is, for me, the most important thing. They're nothing about us without us. So we also need strong European level commitments, as I said. The European Commission and the European Parliament must prioritize inclusion in every single aspect of the social policy agenda. For example, inclusive frameworks should be part of funding programs, research initiatives, and cross-border professional exchanges. Initiatives like the European Social Fund, Erasmus Plus for professional training, or pilot projects in inclusive pedagogy provide tangible ways to strengthen inclusion, but they need continued support, evaluation, and scaling. Let me share a concrete example in the Netherlands' hybrid approach in education. Blending in-person support with targeted digital tools have allowed children with disabilities to participate more fully in mainstream classrooms. These models demonstrate how inclusion can be strengthened without imposing a one-size-fits-all approach. In Austria, community-based early intervention services integrate health, education, and social care, offering a model of professional collaboration and family-centered practice. These examples show that inclusive solutions are possible, but they require commitments, coordination, and resources. The question then becomes, how do we maintain momentum? How do we ensure that inclusion remains central even in political or economically challenging times? Here, professional associations, civil society, and policymakers must work together. Forums like this one here, where we discuss, share, and learn, are crucial. They allow us to recognize common challenges, celebrate success, and commit to joint action. Inclusion cannot be achieved in isolation and requires collaboration, advocacy, and continuous reflection. Looking forward, I see 3 priorities for Europe. Make inclusion a binding commitment, not a discretionary goal across all EU policies. Invest in professional development and networking to strengthen the capacity of special pedagogues across Europe. Ensure that citizens with disabilities, so us, are at risk of inclusion, have a voice, a relevant voice and power in policy making, so that inclusion is truly participatory. In conclusion, the work of you, or special pedagogues, is central to a more inclusive Europe. They bring theory and practice, policy into life, and principles into daily interaction. By fostering cross-border cooperation, strengthening professional networks, and advocating for robust social policies, we can create societies where every individual, regardless of ability, background, or circumstances, can participate, contribute, and thrive. Inclusion is not merely an ideal world, it is a shared responsibility and sharing. Power means at least losing power, and a measure of our societies, and a task that demands creativity, dedication, and solidarity. We thank you for your attention, your time, and for your commitment that building a truly inclusive Europe.
Thank you for your speech and for your thoughts and ideas. As we now continue in this forum to talk about issues of inclusion, but before we start with our discussion, I want to give every member of this forum the possibility to introduce him or herself. So just a short introduction of the people who are sitting here. Perhaps you could start to tell who you are, from where you are, and then you give the word to the next. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Tamás Reményi, and I came from Hungary. We joined to the IGhB only a few years ago. I think it was 2019. We started the work together in 2016. But some of our professors were also there at the beginning to start to think together, but after the relation was not so good or not so close. Personally, me, I'm working at the university in Budapest in a special field of behavior problems, and I do my PhD work or research behavior problems and how the law can organize it. And the Association of the Hungarian Heilpedagogics were in 2022 50 years old, so it was grounded in 1972. And in this year we have a really good or big anniversary because the training of the Heilpedagogics started 125 years ago in Hungary, and we celebrated in the springtime together with IGhB, so it was a good celebration for us, and the whole year is now celebrating this thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judy Hoffer. I'm the director from the Dutch Association for Pedagogues, the NVO. I'm the director for 2 years now, and for me it's the second time that I am joining a congress with the IGhB. The NVO has 10,000 members, a little bit more, and we are founded in 1962, so in 2027 we have our anniversary, and I hope it will have a place for the IGhB as well. Make no promises, but I hope. We have Xavier, who is from the Netherlands as well, and he was the president for the IGhB. For us, it's very important to join the IGhB because, well, we will talk about it in a minute. Because I only see how we can work together to get somewhere. So.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Kati Mangen. I am a teacher and a special needs teacher, which is similar to a Heilpädagog. I'm from Luxembourg. I'm a member of the board of the Luxembourgish Association. Well, you know, it's a small country, so we also have a little bit less members than you have. We have 40 members, so yes, it's a little bit smaller, and the challenge for us is that we don't have a training in our country, so our main objective of the association is to inform people about our profession, that it exists, and that where they can make the training. So most of them come to Germany or go to Switzerland, and very newly the French part of Belgium is also offering a master program, so that's still quite new. So that's the main subjects we have to work on to stay informed about what is done in abroad. So that's why the work in IGhB has a clear is very important for us. We have been a founding member in 2005 of IGhB as well. The Luxembourgish Association is existing since 85, I think. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Georg Weiß. I'm the actual president of the Österreichischen Heilpädagogischen Gesellschaft, and I represent a very heterogeneous group of people because the profession of Heilpädagog is not really established in Austria, so it is a multi-professional group. So I myself, I'm child psychiatrist, and there are a lot of teachers and therapists from ergotherapy, logopedy, and so on, who are members of our association. We have about 1,000 members at the moment, and yeah, the situation is challenging in Austria because of all this budget whole discussion in the government.
Yeah, I'm Heinrich Grewing. I'm the leader of the board of the BHP. The BHP 20 years ago was one of the founders of the IGhB. I am what I am, a special educator, a Heilpedagogic, and I've worked in a Catholic university till my retirement 2 months ago. So now I have a lot of time to work in the international context, and I will try to do the work that Doris has done the last 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, and I will try to make it I hopeful in the same way she's done it. I don't think it would fit. And it's a very political, eminent way to discuss these topics, for Langsieben has told us, and I think we have in these times, in European times, a common task to discuss political topics and political shifts, and that it's a good thing to sit here and to do it.
Okay, thank you. There should have been a colleague from Slovakia in the forum, but due to illness, he is not here. And until last year, we also had representatives from Switzerland and the IGhB, but due to Swiss problems, they are not. They are here, but not as an but not as but the association, the Swiss association, is a little bit problematic at this moment. My name is Xavier Moon, and I until my retirement, I was professor at the University of Amsterdam in the field of people with disabilities, and in another university in Heerlen. A long time I was a member of the board of the NVO and also of the IGhB. For 4 years. 4 years ago, I left it a little bit. So now for me it's a reunion, more or less. And of course, some of the subjects are still going on, you know. And of course, the discussion today is about inclusion. And we can talk, and like for example did, about all the challenges about inclusion, but perhaps we could work from the other side. What are we proud of? What did we already reach in our different countries? Perhaps, Kati, you could start. Because years ago we visited Luxembourg. You had a beautiful day with people with intellectual, with all kind of disabilities. And you have, I think you have a disability day, yeah, where everybody is gathered and so is inclusion. Is there something to be proud of in Luxembourg? Yeah.
I don't really know, as I don't know how it is in other countries.
Yeah.
I think an advantage could be that as we don't have training, so we don't have a long special education tradition in Luxembourg, which could be an advantage. Then it's easier to stay in the inclusion. So we don't probably, I know that from the statistics that we have much less special needs schools than other countries. Which makes it easier now to leave them in the normal schools. So I think that's an advantage. But of course, we also had these big institutions, Catholic institutions, where people were living together and sleeping 10 people in a room. So we also had this, of course.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. And what I think is also interesting is, yes, that we go abroad. We have to make our training abroad, so we also see how it is done in other countries. So that's why I think we also see the value of this cooperation in IGhB, because it really gives us the opportunity to see across the borders other ways of doing it, other policies as well. So I think that's helpful.
Okay, yeah. That's helpful when you're a small country, then. Yeah, yeah. And what are you proud of in Austria when you think about inclusion?
Yeah, it's not so easy. We have a new national action policy. No, yeah, how do you call it? national action plan on disability in Austria, and we had one from 2012 to 2020, and we have now a new one from 2022 to 2030. And when the last ended, then there was a kind of evaluation from the University of Vienna and some recommendations, and there were some recommendations from this evaluation, and discussions about the new plan, and then the new plan was adopted in 2022. So there were some hopes, but the problem is that, for example, now for the plan till 2030, they have the goal to develop a communication structure between the federal government and the states for the implementation. So it's it's a quite unambitious goal, I would say. We had elections in 2024, and in the run-up to these elections, our former president reached out to other organizations, and we formed, together with a lot of others, initiative called Besser Behandelt .at. And this initiative has now over 70 member organizations, very far-reaching, from political to medical organizations to organizations from Selbsthilfe, and so on. Yeah. So a lot of organizations together, and they made a resolution that you can support by the internet, and they made some folders and quite nice sujets. You can find it on the internet, and they reached to the parties in the run-up of the election. There were some open ears, especially from the spokespeople for health and so on. After the elections 2024, it took some time to build a government, but then in this program that the new government wrote down, and there is the first time in Austria that there's a chapter about child health in this Regierungsprogramm.
So what you basically say, you need the parties and politics need some help from professionals and from professional organizations and from people with disability themselves.
And I think it's important that these professional organizations they come together to a kind of a uniformly message to the politics. And it should be a lot of people that are behind this, so that the politic may hear. But unfortunately, now we have to see whether they really do what they committed themselves to do.
So, you know, one of the problems when talking about inclusion is some countries have rather good special services for education, special services for labor, special services for daycare centers, etc., which it could be. From one standpoint, you could say, okay, it's good, it's a good job. But from the other, when you look from the standpoint of inclusion, you could say, is that really what we want? And I know, Heinrich, that you are you wrote some academic papers about this stuff. So, what's the political field in this in Germany? Is it still special things and not integrated, or already more and more integrated services?
No, it isn't anyway. When I talked to colleague Langen-Siepen, perhaps she's written one chapter in a book of labor work and unemployment things in 2021 with Ulrich Scheibner, exactly. And we have made a little bit research to this. for 15 years, when you wrote a book in Germany and you want to sell this book, you have to write inclusion in the title. Today, that this book won't sell one copy, you have to write inclusion on the copy, on the desk. The problem is inclusion is a political topic, and in Germany it is not well be defined, it's not well discussed. In the childhood services and the school services, we've discussed it 10 years, 15 years ago, and there's happened a little bit, but when you see the research topics of the last 3 or 2 years, you see that it's, what's the English word of gruselig? It's a little bit like research, scary research Halloween, what has happened in the schools. And when you say we look to the sheltered working places, there's no inclusion anyway in Germany. And that's a topic we don't realize that inclusion is a right for all people. It's a Menschenrecht, but we don't do it, don't think, and we don't act that it's something like that. And then when we see the last words to this, we discuss since 4 or 5 years that we will deal with an inclusive childhood, inklusive Kinder- und Jugendhilfe in Germany. And this project should be finished in 2027, but none of the last Regierungen did it ever to do these things. I think inclusion in Germany is a word, it's a burned ground in the politics. A colleague of the university in Würzburg for 2 years ago has made a research, and he said we have in the school topics of inclusion 46 definitions of inclusion. So what are we dealing with when we talk to inclusion? What are we dealing with when we talk about inclusion to the politics? And we have to change the perspective that we have to make inclusion to a politic theme and task, and not only to a pedagogic task. And we have struggled with this theme since 15 years, and in my opinion we are 20 years ago in Germany, and we have to make a lot of my. And what gives me hope, and the question was what makes me proud of inclusion, is that we discuss it in an international way with the colleagues of the IGhB. Last words from my side to this topic. I plan a research project for the transition from school to first work and not to sheltered working places, with colleagues from Italy, Hungary, Norway and Austria, and we've planned it in 3 months. We have to deal with this, and we have to do this, and we have to make it for the politics. And that gives me a little bit hope that we can deal with this project. But there's a lot of work to do and a lot of way to go.
Okay.
Last sentence, what makes me proud for inclusion in Germany? Obviously nothing.
Nothing, yeah. Okay, yeah. Judy, in the Netherlands in 2015 we decided that youth care would be integrated. Yeah, of course we have several types of youth care, but the local government is responsible for youth care, also for youth care for psychiatric problems, and also for intellectual disabilities. So every community is responsible for all these all the help regarding children until 18 years. Is that a good way of looking at inclusion?
Well, the reason why it was from the landelijke politiek.
First, in the old days, the government was responsible, and now all the communities are responsible.
The local governments are. And the reason for divide the youth care into the communities, the local communities, was because you know your own people, you know your own youth, so you can offer better help and better care for children who are having problems in some way. But what they didn't tell was that they will cut the budget in hugely. So and the local communities weren't prepared for this issue. So you saw a couple of years it was a terrible thing for our children. There wasn't anything prepared. Nobody knew how to do it, and they just felt there was no budget. We are now 10 years later, and the problem also is it's not only going to the local communities, but it's also a market thing. It's not a public sponsored, I don't know.
Funded.
Funded, funded. It's a market thing. So you can earn your money. You can make profit out of care, and that's not only in the youth. It's also in the healthcare, and I think it's a very problematic development because. When money is the goal, it's not the healthcare and the well-being of the people who we're talking about. So.
There are thousands of small service providers who, a lot of them, they make a lot of money from care. I don't know, is that in Hungary the same? Is there a market for healthcare?
Yeah, I think it's starting. So the influence is coming every time from Western. The good and the bad ones as well. But I would like to say something to your original question, because we should see clearly what is the starting point and the starting time. So till the 1990s, Hungary in the school system have only special schools for children with the handicapped children, and in the last 30 years I think we did a lot, but I know that this is not enough if we see what is happening in the Netherlands or in Luxembourg now. But I think it's really important that now we have, I can say some number or percents, because in the primary and secondary school level, from zero, the integration, because we are not using inclusion, because it's not the same, I think. So integration's number is getting higher and higher now. The schools in this 2 level accept children with special needs, more than 80% of the schools. And I think it's good from the start of zero in that period. Or, for example, if I see the number of the special needs children, how they are or where they are, more than 70% are integrative in an integrative school. So it's better than it was, but I know, or we knew it, that it will be a long process. But we started it and we did it. And for example, also in the teacher training, Heilpedagogic training system changed a lot. In the 2000, at the beginning of the 2000, there was only one place where you can study Heilpedagogic, and now 13 places in the country. So Hungary is also not so big, 10 million people, and it looks like almost everywhere where you can study pedagogy, you can study also Heilpedagogic. I think this is also a good process.
Yeah, of course.
So we try to do integrative or inclusion, the system, the training system as well. So you can get the information from the Heilpedagogic field as well. I think these are big steps, but we knew it will be a long process as well. So if we are talking about inclusion, and this should be a society inclusion, then we need to do some more steps to get this level. But we started mostly with the school system and the training system, and I think these are working good. So, for example, 2013 we built a new system of the diagnostic way of special needs. So in every city there's a center where parents can go there from zero, and the child can be diagnosed, and if it's really a special need, then they can lead this to the special pedagogues or early childhood care. So For example, with the early childhood care, we are also, I think, really good. Some colleagues from the IGhB were us in the last years, and we tried to show how it works, and so the feedbacks were good.
Okay, so my initial question about proudness, I hear a lot of proudness here.
But we know that
of
the
course,
processes go on.
But on,
So it could go from the east to the west, some things.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, it's like I think that's how Europe should work. That we work together, and it's not one is the best or so. When we talk about inclusion, or perhaps we should use another term, I think a lot of effort is made on human rights and on equality, etc. But perhaps there are other arguments which could help policymakers to adopt an inclusive attitude. For instance, that inclusion is cheaper, or inclusion makes people more happy, or something like that. Isn't that a way of thinking that we are too much talking about human rights, but not about what we can achieve with inclusion?
I think it's an economic discussion, and we have to focus on this economic discussion.
Okay.
20 years ago, Bill Clinton says it's the economic way, stupid, exclamation mark.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if we discuss inclusion only in pedagogical terms, only in philosophical terms, the policymaker says, oh, wonderful, bullshit. Do what you want, but I don't care about this.
Don't pay.
I don't pay about this. I don't pay for this. Exactly. And in German, the actual discussion of inclusion youth help actually now is a discussion on the topic of the money. And that's a problem. In the minds of the policymakers, in the hearts of the policymakers, there is no way for working in inclusion ways for people with handicaps. And I think we have to strengthen the discussion away from this, inclusion of the North Star, it's very fine, it's a philosophical idea. No one is interested in that. We have to discuss it as a political term, and perhaps we have to discuss it as an economical way. And then perhaps we have to discuss it's not günstiger.
It's not cheaper.
Isn't cheaper. So it's another way that society will work in a social way. And if the policymakers are thinking of the role they have exactly, and not the power they will have, then perhaps we can discuss. But I think we are in the first steps on this way. And I think perhaps we have not made the wrong decisions in the last 20 years, but we weren't in our bubble as pedagogues and therapeutics, and we have to go out of this bubble and to go in the society of politics. My dear colleague and friend der Gröschke says, Heilpädagogik mit dem Gesicht zur Gesellschaft, special education with the face to society, the face to society, and the back perhaps to the special pedagogics, and that we have to realize this, and we have to strengthen our energy in this form.
But we are also based on scientific knowledge.
Yes.
So how can scientific knowledge help us to take this attitude?
We have to make research with the topic of political teams, and not to discuss how special educators can realize that 14-year-old children can read ABC in a perfect way. Sorry for this. Sorry, Eric, and sorry, Laura. So Quatsch. We have to make research to the transitions, to the transfer to inclusion, perhaps to economical terms.
I also think that's very important. So most of our members, they choose this profession because they want to work with people. But if we want to achieve our goal, it's important that we encourage our students to stay also in research. So I think that's very important, because otherwise it's very difficult to convince policy makers that inclusion has economic advantages. So we have to prove that it's cheaper to transport them somewhere than to leave them in institutions, that it's cheaper to live by themselves and somebody's just helping them from time to time, but not in institutions. But we have to prove it, otherwise it's difficult to convince them. So I think that's also a challenge for our associations and for the universities to motivate students to make research and to stay in this field too. So because most of our members go back on the field.
But for instance, there is convincing research that children in integrated schools, to use that term, they are both the children with and without disabilities are both more competent. Yeah, so there's worldwide research that shows that it's better for both. So they are more competent, they are better students, they have more possibilities for jobs, etc., and they are happier, which is, I think, important too. So we should use that kind of arguments more. You say, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, even if there are numbers, I know it from the medicine part. So there is a lot of evidence that if you give money to the treatment of small children, and the smaller they are, the more
return on investment.
That you have a lot of advantages later on in the whole life. No. But the politicians don't care about this. I don't understand it, that they say, yeah, we have to save money. But if you want to save money, then you had to do much more, especially with the smaller children, in the early care and all this stuff. But the problem is, this money has to spend now from the health budget, and you save later on the social budget or on the Justice Department or something like this, and that's 20 years later, and so that's the problem.
Yeah, and what we see also, I think, is in the Netherlands, our government, we approximately every year we have a new government. Sorry. We hope this time it will be 4 years. So you see, every time a policy is developed, a new government will come, and they have new vision and new ideas. So everything is going away, and I think that is where Europe is coming, because it's not in Europe. It's not a case that there's every time a new policy. I think we can unite there better. So that's what I wanted to say.
I would like to say, to just share with you two experiences of my own. So one, as my workplace at the university, we do research, and we get the datas. This is important, but from the side of leading the association in Hungary, I have the feeling we should somehow understand how politicians are thinking. So how can we articulate what is our aims, what the professional would like to see on the field or in the care system as well. For example, in this year, in the beginning of this year, I was in a government. So talk about what should be done or what should we do in the future as well. And we were talking about accessibility in the buildings. They were just thinking, how can people with physical, visual, or hearing impairments get into the buildings? And I asked, so, and what is people with ADHD or autism? Are you thinking about it? Why? They can get into the building. Okay, it's sure, but what can we do with them? So how can we do help them this accessibility way? So maybe they have no information about this. So we should articulate it better, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes the problem is bigger. For instance, you could talk about people with intellectual disabilities, who are not really literated, But the people who are not really literate, it is a much there are much more people, millions of millions in Germany or in Holland. In Holland, we are about 4 million people who have problems with literates, and who don't understand what the government is saying, and who don't know what is talking about, and because we adapted a communication style which is over people's heads, and what could we do as associations for professionals to start the discussion, and could we find a common ground between all these associations to start a discussion on a European level? What should we do?
Good question.
Because we know what doesn't work. Yeah,
Yes.
you taught us.
If we got the answer, we got the Nobel Prize for Pedagogics.
No, but we have to do something.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we have
create a Nobel Prize for
we
pedagogy.
have to create this, international Nobel Prize for Pedagogics. Good idea. I think the politics should know that we are the experts for these things. They have to ask us. We have made researchers, lifelong researchers to these topics, and they have to ask us for the topic of inclusion, and they have to hear us. But that's a question and a problem too, because the language of the politics makers and the language of the pedagogues or the language of the psychiatrists perhaps are different languages. I don't think that we understand each other, because the language of the politics, perhaps Kollege Langensieben has held a hand, is power, and our language is perhaps content, or is inclusion, or is methodology, and such things. It's very different. And I think we have to struggle with each other and to learn from another. When Tamás said, it is very proud of the way they go in Hungary, and I'm working with your colleague Chilla for the Labour Party. Hey, that's very fine. We've done it the last 6 months. I said, hey, that's the right way you're working with, and I've learned a lot. So it's correct. So we can strengthen each other to the topics of inclusion, but for me, it's a very different thing that the politic makers understand us, because it's another way of language, it's another way of thinking. Perhaps in Germany, the politic makers think for 2 years. They're elected for 4 years, and they think for 2 years. And perhaps we think of a lifelong distance. That's not so easy, but I think Frau Langensieben.
Yeah.
Thanks for what you have said. What can we do? Ask the people, ask us, persons with disabilities.
Yes, of course.
Change the perspective. In Germany, we have the title Heilerziehungspfleger. It's a horrible German word. I don't know if it comes from the Greeks. Maybe we should change the title. Persons with disabilities, we don't want to get educated, bring us up. We know what's the best for us. So, as long as persons with disabilities are not in relevant political rooms, what I said, power to the people. If persons with disabilities have no right to vote, we have EU countries where persons with disabilities still cannot vote. As long as persons with disabilities are not in powerful positions, and as long persons with disabilities are seen as a burden, as someone you should take care of, and sitting in institutions, and the institution system feeds itself. In Germany, we have the sad decision under the new government that the fine a company has to pay when the company doesn't hire a person with disabilities, the fine goes back to the system of shattered workshops. The system feeds the system. As long as that kind of, sorry for the Anglistic word, craziness still exists, and the power of let's stick to the system because it danger my job. So must be very critical in your own way of thinking. Are you doing that job because you feel good and so happy to help people? Or are you willing to step back and bring more persons with disabilities into the system, the school system, who can become a social pedagogue? It must be a person with disability. Who is the caretaker? It must be a person with disability. As I said, nothing about us without us. And the UN Convention criticized Germany, Austria, we are round about on the same level, that there's no big change to see when we look into the system. And exactly, the cost factor is a crucial point. Our inclusion is so expensive. We cannot have or invest into inclusive society. Let's look into it, how much costs the current system. We spend more than 20 billion euros into a segregated system. That is the situation now in Germany. So when we talk to politicians, to the finance ministers, when we look into the cost, the situation now, and how can we spend the more than 20 billion euros into a transition, we have no phasing out plan. And here I think what I push for on the EU level is stop funding institutions against the Article 27. Stop funding. And that is to break it down to the communes. Where is the EU money going to? How it's used? And why not used for an inclusive society? And I come to an end. The question is always, when we will achieve inclusion. There will not be the moment that, from day one, hooray, we have an inclusive society. No, if you believe that, because we are in a changing society, we have the online world, we have the offline world. Let's change our mind. I heard that, we are talking about integration and inclusion in the same sentence. We must step back from integration and to an inclusive society. And as long as we use, language was mentioned, very good, as we use the language, in the end it's an ableistic society, use wordings and persons with disabilities are not on the stage, not in the debate included. We are talking about persons with disabilities. And here we must be very critical to ourselves. What is my role? What is my position? And where are the persons with disabilities? Why they are not in the room? Why they are not paid, really paid? And that what I said, it's talking about sharing power and losing power as well. And that makes some of special experts very nervous. I can understand it. But that must be the question. What is my role as a so-called professional person? And is my role, my aim, or my goal, to step back one day? Because we empower the people and we have an inclusive society on all different levels. Now I turn my microphone.
Okay, thank you. This is a very clear but also very difficult statement. The question I would like to raise is this discussion already in your different societies and are all the members on the same page in this discussion? Or should we do this discussion or shouldn't we do the discussion? So 3 questions. Okay. Perhaps, who wants to start? Yeah. Yeah.
No answer, no question to this question. No answer is the answer too. No, I think it's the right question. The last question, we have to do it. We haven't a chance not to do this. And I agree with all the words of colleague Langensiepen. She's told us, and we have to change our role. See the discussion yesterday between Frau Straatz, Juan Bouschroth and Julia Fischer, and it's very clear that we have to change the power, that we have to discuss these things, not to discuss, to deal these things in a consequent, participable way with people with handicapped people.
So you don't have this discussion yet in the BAP.
We started this discussion
in
a very, very small way, and we have to focus this discussion more than we've done it in the last years. And we focus this discussion on where are the topics in our Tagung, in our meeting here, in the lights and the rooms and other things. Barrierefreiheit, universal design, we have to realize this, and we have to discuss these topics, and we have to strengthen the common topics for a political way, in a more participatory way, for all people with handicaps. Not and for people with complex handicaps. It will be a very, very different topic to do this, but we have to do this. And we have to do it consequent, and that is not realized in the German special education. It's never realized in the institutions.
Okay. In Austria?
No.
You don't have the discussion?
Not really, yeah.
No.
But I think that what you asked before, so how can we professionals reach better the politicians? I think we have to be more inclusive, and that means that we professionals, together with the people with handicaps and maybe together with others, especially parents. Yeah, I think all the parents want good schools, and as you said, good schools are good schools for all children. Yeah, and so the broader the movement is that want something from the politic, the easier we get the ear of the politicians.
I think we have to do big progress in Luxembourg in that field too. So we don't question ourselves. We criticize the system, and we often don't realize that we are supporting this system as well. So I think that's very important discussion. We have to face this and stop criticizing the system for the people with disabilities. We should, I think in Luxembourg in any case, we should try to get more in contact with these associations that exist. We know them as well, as we are a small country, everybody knows everybody, but still we could get more in contact with them to have a stronger voice. Like you said, the initiative in Austria, that seems very interesting for me. And we should criticize more our daily life, our work, and see, okay, what can I do in my small fields, and what is my institution doing? I think there's also the problem that often people with responsibilities are not specialists in inclusion. So I think that can also be part of the problem, that decision makers often don't have this background we at least have, even if that's not always a guarantee, but still, I think that's also part of it, that we have a lot of decision makers that are psychologists or other qualifications and are not that much in the field. So we also need to be self-confident enough to take responsibilities and change the system from
and Judy, do 10,000 Dutch academic educated pedagogues want to share their responsibilities with parents and with people with handicaps?
Well, we are of course an association for the professionals and not for the clients, but indirectly, of course, for the people.
But perhaps we have some bullshit jobs as pedagogues?
I don't think so. I don't think that at all. I think we have a very important job, and I think that we can mean a lot to society. But what we do as NVO is you want to influence the politicians. And it's very hard to, in the Netherlands you say, to pull on somebody's jacket. So you have his attention, of her attention. We are trying to make a podcast. We are developing podcasts with interesting topics, and we are send them to amongst other things, to the politicians. We have storytellers that are writing articles to go into papers, and we hope we can get our people, our members, more into the television shows, who are the daily shows, who are talking about those topics.
Yeah, but George Weiss said you should do it together with parents and with people with disabilities, because then you are more powerful.
I agree. When we are discussing topics, for example, for new legislation or new tariffs, at the table there's always a client organization there. We had a minister of handicapped of disabilities. Not anymore. I don't know why there's not a new minister, but we have to do it. That's true. But that means for our association that we have to communicate to our members in a different way.
But do you support what Frau Langensiepel said?
Of course.
Yeah, but is that a discussion in the NVO yet?
No, but well, we're talking about people with disabilities, and we have a lot of topics in the NVO.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But special schools are also involved.
Yes, absolutely. And we in our board we have the discussions. We see, of course, that where you talk about people, you don't have the knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I think we should talk with the people, or to the. So they should be among us. And before I give you an answer, I would like to ask how many person with special needs are among us, Heilpedagogs, among us, politicians, because it's really important. You can face with the needs. In that case, for example, at the university we organized, I think, so after the IGhB, the participation is really important. So, for example, Chila is working, or we are all working, colleagues with mentally disorder, or ADS or autism colleagues. We have on that special field, and the students can meet before they are going to the practical field, colleagues that they have this special needs. So we are talking about, we are talking with them, and they are among us, but I think we still need to do the step to the politicians or everyone who will decide about how the way will go on.
But if we are in favor of an attitude where people are advocates for themselves, where professionals support them to be active in politics, and to be active, to be seen, and to be have a favorite place in society. If we are on that page, how should we work as an IGhB to achieve attention for this endeavor?
What I learned the last 12 years at IGhB is that when you are working in your field and in your country, you are always in your soup, and you don't really see the possibilities as you have to work under your conditions, your laws. And I think what we can do as IGhB is try to get more other members as well. So we are still, I mean, the European Union is much bigger than 7 member countries, and Switzerland still is not in the EU. So 6 only. So I think it could be an opportunity to especially look for countries also who have better inclusive systems, like Scandinavian countries. Scotland is very good, Ireland, Iceland. So to get more inputs and good practices where we can see and we can, or we have to try as executive committee of the IGhB to give this information to our members. What we struggled with the last 10 years at least was that it was so we were personally motivated and involved, but it was difficult to motivate our boards at home to support us in this and finance our trips and everything. But if they see that we bring good practices back at home to our members, I think that's something we could do, and which is possible as a small, mainly volunteer-based organization to get more of these good practices.
Yeah, but then you should skip your age, from Heilpedagogic, because then that's a curious thing. Of course, we are associations which are more or less all working in the field of Heilpedagogics in the Netherlands and orthopedagogics, and we in many countries they don't recognize our work. That's perhaps some special psychology or something else. The IGhB was founded more or less to have a international face, because of our special way of working. But for politics, it's perhaps not the best platform, because we are too specific as Heilpedagogs. So, how should we work? With whom should we go? With which professionals should we work together to have a better voice in Europe? Any idea?
I think that doesn't really matter.
No?
I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. Well, perhaps not. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if we are Heilpädagogen, Orthopädagogen, Sonderpädagogen, schulische Heilpädagogen. It doesn't really matter. We work with, and we already have it. Austria is a member.
Yeah.
He's a psychiatrist. I mean, it has nothing to do with what I learned. But we are working on the same subject, and that was the question. What can you do to make improve inclusion? And then it doesn't really matter. Of course, we have another background, but for the issue of inclusion, it doesn't really matter, I would say.
No, but for the force you could make.
But there are certainly associations in other countries who have also united professionals working with people with disabilities.
So that would be could be a task. To look for them.
I think so, but it's my personal.
Okay.
In every country in Europe and perhaps worldwide, we have the same topics, we have the same shifts, the same themes, the same right-wing themes actually in Europe. Whether what name we share, and they're social workers who work with handicapped people. What's the problem? I think we have to open the doors. We have to open two doors. One door to everyone who is working on our topics. And when these people does it professionally, then it's not either the Heilpädagogik or medicines or whatever. And we have to open the door, and Frau Langensieben said it, to us, to handicapped people. And we have to work in a very, very consequent, participant way with these people. And that is, I think that's the only way, the only both ways we have to go. And it will be a long way. We have to understand that integration and inclusion are different kind of topics, and we have to learn, okay, then you discuss it and we live together and we discuss it on our way. And we have to live with different kind of thinkings to special education, remedial pedagogics, Behindertenpädagogik, what the fuck, excuse me, to this. And we have to deal with the same kind of things. And the same kind of things are exclusion topics on every hand and on every way. And this we have to stop, and we have to discuss it, and we have to research these things, and we have to be consequent in a political thinking. And that could be a common aim, not to see, oh, I am working with the older special handicapped medicine man, or he with me. So no, we have to get open-minded, that we always have to change institutions, organizations, work on political ways, and that is our aim. Our work is a political work and nothing else.
And then in our education, do we really stress this topic to our young students?
Yes.
Yes?
And yes, but that's a very difficult kind of thinking.
Yeah.
They come to us and say, oh, I will help. I will help, and I will help. 20 years ago, for students in Münster, I've asked them, what is your motive to work with handicapped people? Painted as a symbol. 80% painted a heart or two hearts, red hearts. Oh, wonderful. Then I say, okay, then please sign and paint your relationship to these people in your work. 85% paint I'm the great one and you're the child. I am standing, you are sitting. I am standing, you are lying. I am working with a wheelchair. It's this kind of power. I say, oh, on one hand we have the heart, and on the other hand we have the relationship, what is signed by power. And we have to change this Haltung. We have to change the topic of motivation. We have to work with this. We have to change it. I can change it by myself, and the students can change it by herself. I can't change it. But we have to realize that this is an aim and that this is a very different way to do this.
Okay.
And we should do it with people with handicap. We should take these people with handicaps in our roles, in our universities, in our schools, in our Verband, whatever.
Just I want to raise two questions in this. First, when we make a scale from 0 to 100, yeah, and we take the statement Frau Langenzieper did 15 minutes ago. We take that as a point to reach. Where are we? Where is ever? Yeah. Okay. You want to say something? Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for the debate. I underline and support everything what people have said on the panel.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, in the preparation for this discussion, I googled a little bit, and so there are comparisons of the systems, the European systems that exist. So I think we can have a look on it, and there's all the reports from the countries who have adopted the UNCVRPD. So. I don't know by heart where we are in Luxembourg. I think we are more or less in the middle, but not. We still have a lot of work to do. I think what I wanted to add an idea what IGhB could do is also to get in contact with the European associations that already exist for people with disabilities. So there's this Inclusion Europe, there's Europe Disability Forum, where we could get in contact with and see how they see things and unite. I think that's also important.
Yeah. Where are you in Austria?
If Netherlands are 30, then we are below, definitely. But I can't say how much.
In Germany, it's a kind of what topic should I say to? The inclusion in schools. There are new statistics from 2023. Say in Bremen, in Berlin, in Hamburg, 60 to 70% inclusive schools. In Baden-Württemberg, in North Westphalia, 20, 30 perhaps. When I talk about inclusion in sheltered working places, in the transition to the first labor market, actual statistics from 2023 either say 0.36. And that's a question to your answer. We're not we're living in living homes. There are very specific statistics to say, that could be, but on the other hand, it's very different. And I think in Germany we are less than 30 in common.
Yeah,
it's very different.
I think I can join that less than your number, because if I'm thinking about inclusion in the whole society, then 15%.
Yeah, it's a long way to go.
And if I just the school system, then it's okay, it's much better. And the hope is with me that with this generation, they were already in the school in this integration or inclusive atmosphere, then it will come with them a bit higher, also the society inclusion as well.
Yeah. My second question, Katja already started with it. This afternoon you have an IGhB conference. So what's your next step?
I think at first it's necessary that there will be some kind of structure where we can work together. How are we going to work together? I think that's the first question. Who is going to do what? Who takes the responsibility for which topic? So I think that's very important to start.
Okay.
Yeah, so the challenges the last years was that we are doing this on a volunteer basis. Now we got the okay from the two boards from the big countries with the many members with professional structures that they will support us with manpower so that we can organize ourselves better. And then we have this afternoon our last project was this questionnaire who has been filled in by all our members from all our countries, and we will get the results this afternoon. So after the presentation of these results that Tamas and Patty worked on, we can fix new objectives and see what we want to do the next years.
I think we have to work on that we are seen in Europe. If we're 40 people or 10,000 people, we have to be seen. And my dream in the next 2 or 3 years could be that the IGhB made common publications about research, about our working, and we go with this publication to the politics and say, hey, we've done it, we do this. And perhaps we make it in English or in German or in Hungary, whatever. And what's written cannot be it can be discussed, had to be discussed. And I think that could be, we're working on together, we learn from each other, and I think this could be the next step. Also, what you say, I prefer this, and we have to learn from each other, we have to deal with our topics, and we have to say, yo, we are strong, we do this, and you cannot go away with this. Yeah.
What I also think that we should prioritize the topics, because we cannot reach everything in one movement. So we need to decide the first step, the second and the third. Because and in that case we can say, okay, we would like to reach that point. But if we are talking about inclusion, I think all of us can tell at least 20, 30, 50 different topic. What to do, or what would be good in the society or in the care system.
I would like to discuss with you. If these are representatives of the IGhB, what would you give them to discuss? What, and if you don't want to do it in English, do it in your own language and we translate it. So what should we do? Yeah.
I have a very long experience with the IGhB, and I'm very deeply convinced that's a very important work. But my feeling now in this moment is we worked a lot together with each other, and now it's time to go out. And I'm very touched from the speech of Ms. Langensieben. And I had the idea, maybe she is apart from Germany, but it's possible to work together with her. And she is in a lot of networks, and then we can work with these networks. And you told us a lot of different associations. My feeling, I'm convinced it's necessary to go out and to be encouraged to do steps into the politics, and I think it's a very good moment because we have the support from NVO and BRP. That's my big hope.
Okay. Other people?
I would wish that I'm one of the first presidents of the IGhB, and I would wish that more people with a disability can work again. Some of the sort of basic ideas have sort of not disappeared, but they're not living again anymore in the council of the IGhB, and I think it's very important that these collections are renewed, and maybe we can also get somebody from Switzerland who is a politician to help you in this respect.
Thank you. Yeah. Other.
I just have a question. In the other countries, I only know the German way. Where do the people work? How is the labor market in the other countries for people with disabilities?
Mm. Now in the Netherlands, we skipped the special places for handicapped people, so they are more or less the market should serve them, but the market doesn't serve them. So a lot of them are not employed. Of course, there are good examples of where people with disabilities have really found an important and pleasurable job. To leave it only to the market isn't the best solution. That's what we found out. Yeah. So yeah, we have to have a hybrid system with a lot of liberal government the last 15 years that didn't work out.
So in Hungary we have some, I don't know exactly how to say it, safe workplace. So we started in the school system, so to integrate our inclusion way. So we have some, but not so much, not enough. The same system that it was mentioned, that the firms can pay if they not hire them. So they pay money, but people are not there. One sentence to the open market. In the last, I think, 10 years, when we have no enough employee, so people who would like to work, the government try to catch them also to so partly work in a firm or in the open market, but it's not a really good way, I think.
Yeah, in Austria, of course, there are sheltered works as well, and there is the first market, and there is a kind of a second market. So part-time or with some support, so that the company gets a little bit money for hiring someone who has some disabilities or something like this. What was improved in the last years was this helping children to find the work after the school. So they got better in supporting as well the young people as well as the companies to fit together, and they had some progress in that they started to have practicum, I don't know how you call it. Yeah. So for example, just a few weeks ago I had a conversation with one of my patients who is now adult, and he has an autism spectrum disorder, and he had this kind of practicum at the Austrian army, and now he works there. So because this structure that fits him, so a fixed structure, and nobody thought of this, that this would be a working place for this young man, but it turned out to be the right place. So there is a kind of flexibility to find something out. That's
one of the most important things is that people have to have more chances, you know. Perhaps the first time it doesn't work and the second time it doesn't work, but then gradually you find a working environment which works for both, for the employer and the employee. And this kind of flexibility isn't in the system, and that's not helping people with special needs.
It is called Jugendcoaching in
for
in
children
Austria
or young people that
yes,
helps, but when you are older, you don't get that chances.
Yeah, in Luxembourg, I would say it's similar, but people are employed. So we don't have people sitting at home without a job. But of course, most of them are not on the first market, unfortunately. But there are now more and more initiatives, so they should have 3%. So companies should have 3% of people with disabilities. Often it's 0 point something, but they still don't have to pay the fees. So unfortunately, that's not really motivating people to engage people with disabilities. But there is now a new agency that has been built up some years ago, who is helping in the transition. Also, so they are also trying to make a big network to get in contact with companies, to train the human resources people, and to see how they can fit in the first market. But it's really the beginnings as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Somebody else? A question or a remark?
Maybe I just add what helped in the last years. What there was a labor shortage in Austria, and that helped for some companies to reach to people who they would not take into account before.
Yeah. But what we see in the Netherlands is they come in at last. Yeah. But they are out at first when the market is changing, and that's not really job stability, and that's a big point. Yeah. Okay. Other questions or other remarks or?
Ich glaube, wenn wir uns vergegenwärtigen, wie auf Deutschland jetzt mal kurz fokussiert die politische Ausrichtung sich gerade gestaltet, ist es wahrscheinlich gerade der richtige Zeitpunkt, auch in Richtung EU-Parlament, schade, dass Frau Langen-Siepen raus ist, vielleicht auch nochmal ein Statement rauszugeben, um mal auf viele Dinge einfach mal aufmerksam zu machen, dass halt eben Reformprozesse im Werkstattkontext nicht so langsam vorangehen, sondern einfach nochmal Nachdruck geben. Und wenn wir jetzt gerade uns so nämlich sehr wahr konsolidieren und hier als Einheit uns etablieren, ist der Schwung vielleicht heute gut, den weiterzutragen und bekannt zu machen, sagen wir, formuliere es mal so. Wer, wie, wohin dies transportiert, würde ich gerne Ihnen, euch überlassen. Ich finde es nur richtig, zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt ein politisches Statement in die Welt zu geben.
Okay, thank you. So you support the ideas which are discussed here, but you also say it's now a special moment to use it to activate your endeavors to politics. Yeah. Okay.
20 years ago, we wrote the Berliner Erklärung.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to write the Erfurter Erklärung.
Who knows? Yeah, but that's on the wisdom of the board of the IGhB.
And one idea from me is if we can change from bottom up, so the European parties, can we change them? It takes too long. So we have to go in the community politicians, and we can change them, and we can create some room for the people we are stepping in.
Yeah.
And this is so important. So if we are sitting here, we are all on the same line, so we have to change something. But in the real life, we are not existing, but we have to be there where the discussions are made, and normally they are made in the community politicians. The people, we are careful.
Yeah, I think
it's very important to be there.
Yeah.
And to change the discussion of that people.
Yeah, it's important that you stress this point, and I think perhaps you could say that there are on a level of communities there are very good examples of what's really working and really going in the right direction, and you could highlight that too. Yes, sure.
Yeah, we need to encourage our members that they have to reflect this all the time.
And
what am I doing in my institution? Am I asking my my leaders, my directors, to make I don't know, participatory board with our people? Am I doing this? So I think that's what we have to ask ourselves all the time.
Yeah, but that's why I started with my first question 1.5 hours ago. You know, you could say, okay, we have a long way to go. You can say there are some initiatives which are all right and which we can highlight and which we can promote and where we can learn from, and think we have to do both. And only sitting here and say, we are so far away from what we want, won't work. Because it's not motivating, you know. If you look at motivation techniques and motivation,
and it's not true because there are good practices.
Because there are good examples. So use science also to motivate people and to encourage people to work in the direction we want them.
But I think you have to do it together.
Yeah.
Practice based and evidence based.
Yeah.
And I will tell you a positive thing, because otherwise you are going out and you think, my gosh. I'm also 2 days an employee and 2 days an own practice, and I'm not somebody from marketing, because 2 years ago I was by a congress about inclusive, but also inclusive for the education. I'm more specialized in inclusive in education. And there was a project in our province, and they don't say you can come into the school. We only think in solutions. So, and that's what I want to give you away. That then the projects are going on, and teams are trained by that kind of thinking. So nobody says that child doesn't come to the school.
But
So-
what is needed to make it possible?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you can powers in your environment, and they make it possible. So it exists.
Yeah.
It's smart, but every step is a step to go further on.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit what I can think.
Something else which would be mentioned?
So ein Gedanke, ich begleite Gesamtlandverfahren in Baden-Württemberg, und es ging ja darum, dass Menschen mit Beeinträchtigungen repräsentativ sind. Und in so Gesprächen fällt auf, dass es mehr Teilnahme als Teilhabe geht, und man verhandelt den Unterstützungsbedarf wie jemand, der mit dabei ist. Also man macht das nicht ohne die Person, aber mit der Person. Und vielleicht ist es so die erste Instanz, wo ich als Heilpädagoge oder wir auch Freiraum geben, dass die Person mehr für sich einsteht.
Mhm.
Weil schon da fängt es ja auch an, die Institution, wo ich arbeite, dass nicht mal dort die Menschen für sich selbst bestimmen können, was sie eigentlich brauchen.
Mhm.
Genau. Und ich wollte noch fragen, einfach aus Interesse, weil ich war in Luxemburg, ich habe Erasmus gemacht. Ich habe aber nicht mitbekommen, wie ist das bei erwachsenen Menschen? Gibt es auch so ein Teilhabeverfahren oder wie wird das gemacht?
First of all, you talked about how important it is that people with disabilities, if we use that term, that they are enabled to articulate what they want, and that it even for us as professionals, it's sometimes difficult to give them room and to encourage them to speak out for themselves. And that's so for some of us we really have to learn to step back and to listen and to encourage and not to take over and to that's what you said, and I think that is a very important statement. Yeah.
Es geht auch Entschuldigung, es geht auch den Raum, also das sitzen Menschen, die Management studiert haben, ein Gegenüber oder soziale Arbeit. Also da sind andere Perspektiven betroffen, die dann entscheiden, okay, was wäre besser, ob wir jetzt höheren Unterstützungsbedarf oder eher falschen, dass es ein bisschen niedriger kostet.
That's of course which perspective you take gives more or less room to people with disabilities to participate. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Maybe I just do a kind of brainstorming from the short mentioning before. I'm not sure whether Erfurter Erklärung has much of an impact, but maybe it could have more impact really to create a kind of Nobel Prize for Pedagogic, and this prize should be dedicated to someone with a disability, and maybe this could be more kind of Leuchtturmprojekt.
You asked about Luxembourg, but I didn't really understand the question. So if adults have the possibility to represent themselves? So we have different associations of people with disabilities. So they call themselves Nimmer Eyes, just with us, they are called. And then we have different commissions where there always have to be people with disabilities. I don't know if that's what you wanted to know. Yes? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I can just say from my personal experience, I know very good some politicians in Luxembourg, and I think it has an impact. Because they often tell me, yes, it's true, you are working in this special needs field. There was an association who got in contact with us, and we had a meeting. So they remember this. They know they remember this. So, but it's a hard work. You have to go back all the time because people change in politics and in parties, and you have to go to every party because you don't know which party will be elected next time. But they remember this. So if you never contact them and you never see them, how can they know about you? They have so many different subjects they have to know about.
I think we discussed a lot of issues. There's a big task for the IGhB. There's a big task for every country to have this kind of discussions. It's big task to find common ground on which you can really say, okay, we are on the same page and we will do this together. It is difficult for professionals who are educated in our field to discuss in another language, in a more economic language, more sociological language. But that's what we discussed, and I think that's how it should go, in your opinion. And you are the members of the different associations, and you can encourage your members in the IGhB to do the right things. So watch them, encourage them, join them, and let's keep talking and let's be visible by publications, by podcasts, by this kind of discussions. Let's be visible. Let's work together, and it's a hard task. It won't be ready tomorrow, but we know the direction, and that's very important. Thank you for your participation, and I hope you enjoyed what we did here today.